Thank you. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, January 8th, 2018, 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing afterwards, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for Jackie Reynes. Jackie Reynes, who died January 6, 2018, served the town of Abington for over 30 years in several roles, usually more than one role in any year. During these years, she spent countless hours volunteering for the town of Abington. She was a register of voters and helped several town clerks with counting the votes at each election. She served on the Finance Committee and Computer Study Committee. Most of all, she was on Abington's expert and watchdog for the South Weymouth Naval Air Station, starting in the 70s when Abington became concerned about Logan Airport expansion to Weymouth. She served on multiple committees dealing with the future of the base when the Navy announced the base was closing. She then served on committees monitoring the actual development at the base. Her tenacity and knowledge will be missed. Thank you. I had the pleasure to serve with Jackie on the Finance Committee. It was indeed an honor, so she will be missed. Announcement starting at the end. Tom, do you have anything?
I do. Please join us as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Abington Public Library and the 40th anniversary of the Friends of the Library. Library service began in Abington in 1878. The library was housed in a variety of places until the move to the present building. The current Abington Public Library opened for service on December 18, 1997, and was dedicated on January 24, 1998. The Friends of the Library became a formal charitable organization supporting library programs and services in 1977. The Board of Library Trustees, the Friends of the Library, and the library staff request the pleasure of your company at a concert presented by Four Guys in Tuxes. That will be Sunday, January 28, 2018 at 2 p.m. This anniversary allows us to reflect on the hard work and dedication which made the building of the library possible, to honor the devoted efforts of countless members of the Friends of the Library to improve library services, to remember the special events, programs, and individual stories of the thousands of library users during the last 20 years, and to anticipate the future of the library service in our town. All are welcome to the celebration.
Thank you, Tom. Alex?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. Mr. Burine?
The annual town election is being held April 28th, 2018. Nomination papers for the town election are now available in the office of the town clerk. Incumbents who have 3-year terms which expire with the annual town election are Board of Selectmen Andrew Burbine and Alex Bezanson, Board of Assessors Kate Platty, Board of Health Linda Dickey, Sewer Commissioner Christine Hendrickson, School Committee Kathleen Bailey, Michael Karowski, Trustees of Public Library Gail Bergen, Henry DiCarlo, and Mary Gillis, Water Commissioner Richard Muncy. Also available, Board of Health 3-year term and Board of Health 1-year unexpired term. Incumbents who have 5-year terms which expire with the annual town election are Planning Board Bruce Hughes. All interested parties should take out nomination papers as soon as possible. Nomination papers must be returned to the Board of Registrars by 5:00 p.m. on Monday, March 12th. Any incumbent who does not plan to be a candidate in this year's election is requested to notify the town clerk in writing as soon as possible. Town clerk's office will be open for voter registration until 8:00 p.m. on Monday, April 9th, which will be the last day to register for the annual town election. Anyone with any questions about running for office or voter registration may call Leanne Adams, Town Clerk, at the Town Clerk's office, 781-982-2112.
Thank you. Mr. Manning?
I'd first like to thank all the public safety and public services for this town this past 5 days. I think they've done an extraordinary job. I thought the chief, the fire chief, the police chief, John Stone, and all of his people did an excellent job going through some serious weather that we went through. And I just want to thank them personally for all the work that they did.
The water department also, there's a couple water main breaks that could have been.
Unbelievable. We had a water main break on Bank Street, and we had another one on another street that took all day, I believe, to resolve. So the water department also, thank you for clarifying me. That being said, I'd like to bring up another issue, which is trash pickup. If your recycling was to be picked up last Thursday, which was the normal pickup day, but was delayed till Saturday, then it should have been picked up no later than today. That being said, for those people today whose recycling didn't get picked up, please leave it out for tomorrow, because it will get picked up tomorrow. Friday trash and recycling only this week. For residents with normal Friday pickup, will be allowed to put out additional trash in plastic bags, which should be placed next to their trash barrel. Extra recycling needs to be placed in either a paper bag or cardboard box only. Please, no plastic bags, and placed next to your recycle barrel. This is only for people on Friday, and only the people that have Friday pickups. Please, 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 no plastic bags for recycled material. Christmas tree, real tree pickup is still scheduled for Saturday, January 13th. Please remove plastics, lights, tinsels, and any other material on the tree. The tree should be basically blank, but they should be picked up this Saturday. Thank you.
Can I leave the popcorn on the tree if I? Like?
No, because the birds will eat that, so.
Okay, all right.
Bob, can I just ask a quick question on that? I know you said people have Thursday, but there was a holiday. Let's say I usually have my trash picked up on Thursday, a holiday I have it picked up on Friday. So is that talking about Friday? Which would be, say, my neighborhood, or it's people that
Because of the
regular-
holiday, and then because of the snowstorm, there was a 2-day delay.
Right, I understand
So-
that.
So Wednesday went to Friday, and Thursday went to Saturday, and Friday there was no pickup, and they were delayed for a full week. So if your recycling was supposed to have, which normally would have been picked up on Thursday, that was scheduled to be picked up on Saturday, didn't get picked up on Saturday, it should have been picked up today if you left your barrel out. If you left your barrel out. If not, you're gonna have to put it out this Thursday. If you were, today's Monday, trash and recycling, the recycling trucks were behind because they were playing catch-up for Saturday, so tomorrow they'll pick up the balance of Monday's recycling on Tuesday.
It's clear as mud.
I'm trying to be, I know it's not that easy to say, but there was a 1-day delay because of the holiday, and then there was a day delay because of the weather, the storm. So that resulted in 2 days leaps for everyone's trash and recycle pickup. And then, that being said, you had 18 inches of snow to get your barrels out some way, somehow, some way to get shown up and picked up. So it was not a, there was a lot more trash on the streets than we ever wanted to have during a snowstorm, but
And to
that's,
make the matters worse, the weather caused equipment failures.
For the trash hauler.
For the trash hauler, and moving equipment from other communities. Other communities were experiencing the same conditions, the same equipment issues that brought on by weather, so it was a difficult situation. It remains difficult for a few more business days. It will remain.
forward.
Exactly, so. Well done, Bob. That was actually very well done.
that was only rewritten 3 times before I actually read it, so.
The last announcement I have is, thank you from the Abington Celebrates Committee. The Abington Celebrates Committee would like to thank everyone in our community for a successful 2017. The committee worked tirelessly this year to provide Abington with 3 events: Founder's Day in June to celebrate the founding of our town, Oktoberfest weekend, and Christmas at Island Grove. All of these events give residents a chance to celebrate the community and bring together with free family-oriented events with the ultimate goal of bringing the beloved fireworks back to Abington. This past year, the committee was able to launch a wildly successful hometown cookbook, which featured over 200 recipes from folks throughout the community, which in turn has raised approximately 6,000 currently. Still available at downstairs at the town clerk's office and at Truckee Supermarket. This is well of the Abington Celebrates events held could not have been done without selfless efforts from residents, nonprofit groups, and businesses throughout the community. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to a great 2018. So thank you, and thank you, fellow members of the board who are involved in all those events one way or another. I'm gonna, from the people out there in the audience, I'm going to allow public comment on any of the agenda items, if anybody wants to get any questions on those before we talk about them. All right, public appointment, 6:35, National Grid and Verizon public hearing to relocate pole number 2 on Highland Street. Is anybody from National Grid here? Yes, come on up, sir, you want to grab the microphone and give us a little bit, this is a public hearing, so I have to read the, do I need to read this? It's a public hearing?
You could read it. Notice was sent out to abutters
Okay.
as well.
Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, January 8th, 2018, at 6:35 in the Carter Hearing Room. 500 Glenowitz Way at the request of the National Grid and Verizon to request permission to relocate poles, wires, cables, and fixtures, including anchors, guys, and other such necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way or ways. Highland Street, pole number 2. National Grid requests permission to relocate pole number 2 20 feet, yes, plus or minus west of existing pole in order to clear a driveway. Ken Coyle, Chairman of Board of Selectmen. So, we'll open up this public hearing, if that's all right. Sir?
So you just stated, we are, per the customer's request, moving this pole 2 on Highland Street for customer at 206 Rare, and he will be paying for the cost of moving this pole just 20 feet over to just clear out his driveway.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No.
Any comments from the audience? Any questions or comments from the audience? I guess this is a public hearing, so I'll take a vote to close the public hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Motion made a second to close. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, any votes from the board?
Move we approve the petition.
Second.
Motion is made a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous vote. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, 6:40. Paperwork involved in that.
Yep.
A lot. All right, the next, change of manager from Suhas Patel, LLC, DBA Rosie's Liquors, 751 Bedford Street, to Hamanji Patel. Do we have the Patels here? Come on, back up. Thank you. All right, so we're switching managers, and that's all?
Yeah, it's
and-
my wife, Himangi Patel, making her the manager of Rose's
Are you-
Liquor at 751.
Are you the current manager?
Yeah,
You're
and
switching
owner and
to it?
manager, yeah.
Okay, and nothing else is changing?
Everything's exactly the same.
Okay, and, everything's all paid up, and, no,
Everything is in order.
do we, something like this, do we, contact the police and ask if
Yep.
they're all set with that?
That-
Okay. Any questions from the board?
None.
None. I will entertain a motion then.
Motion to accept the transfer of the license from,
Change of manager.
change of management of the liquor license of limited option Kayalo?
I skipped that word completely because it.
Canayo.
Canayo?
Yep.
Canayo, from Mr. Patel to
Patel, yeah.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes,
Would that be appropriate?
that's perfect.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A unanimous vote. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
6:45, we're a couple minutes early, so if we want to take the minutes from December 11th. I noticed, I think there's Dory, on the minutes from October 11th, I think on page 2, the third paragraph down, Manning to approve all licenses on page 3 except Borderland Services and LA Used Cars, seconded Bezance. I don't think Bezance seconded that, because he,
No,
No.
except you,
Except.
except, oh, okay, so you could have done that, I'm sorry,
yeah.
you're right. All right, no, that's perfect. Anything else, anybody see any? We were all here that night.
motion to approve.
Seconded?
Motion's made and seconded to approve the minutes of December 11th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous vote. 6:45, we will take up a transfer of a common victular license, DBA Cream, 1209 Bedford Street, to J. Yasmin Zachary, DBA Yaz's Table. Okay, so Cream is going to become Yaz's Table. Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you all?
Hello.
Yes, I'm actually continuing operations as is under Cream until March. I'm going to rebrand, close for about a week, do some renovations, not that I really need to do much, because Craig Perry did a fabulous job with the restaurant, but just so it looks like a different restaurant, and then we'll reopen as Yaz's Table.
Okay, excellent. Same hours, or is this a this will be, because they don't serve dinner currently, but you're planning on having dinner, right?
I want to say in about a year or so, I want to kind of give myself some time, but for now, stick to breakfast and lunch.
Okay. In my understanding, maybe I'm incorrect, but Craig and Lenora are still gonna keep the ice cream
Yes.
portion of it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the important thing for me, but, and then, and you'll have the rest of it.
And I'll have the rest,
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
Ice cream spot, yes.
Any other questions?
Is there a beer and wine there?
No.
Oh, no?
I'm working on obtaining a license.
There was at one point,
The
Not-
country, when it was the previous restaurant.
Right, not when it was cream, though.
No, not with a cream.
I know they were looking into it at one point, though. Any other questions for Yasmin?
is there a beer and wine available?
There's a beer, we talked about this, a cordial.
Cordial.
A beer and wine and cordial is available, yep. Just not an all alcohol, which you were looking to do, but there is a beer and wine and cordial.
I did hear a rumor that the state was allowing towns to be able to sign for full liquor license, and they're lifting the quantity ban?
Yeah, I think there was
There's
maybe
about
some
it.
proposed legislation, but I don't think
That
it's
hasn't
been
passed yet.
don't think it-
done
I'll be
officially yet, but
crossing
they
my
have been
fingers that-
talking about maybe doing. something
Changing the
like that.
licensing.
Yeah.
Under the Municipal Modernization Act, that was one of the proposals, but
Yeah.
it's still.
It hasn't gone through yet.
Any feelings from the board on this?
No, move we approve?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Good luck with Yas's
luck with it.
place.
Good luck.
Very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Rick, maybe you can give us a little heads up on vote to set up a gift account, Council on Aging.
Go ahead, Dory.
Oh, that's
I'm
Again,
sorry.
oh, that's okay, that's a
Assistant
gift
Town
account.
Manager.
It's actually for the Meals on Wheels program. Currently, it's being funded through the school system, and this just makes it, keeping it separate so that the Council on Aging is able to fund the program more efficiently for the people that use the Meals on Wheels, is what it comes down to.
Now, when they receive a meal on wheels, is it free to them, or is it charged?
There's a charge, I
There's a
think,
charge.
$3, minimal charge.
It's a donation,
It's a
You
donation,
suggested
yes.
donation, but yes.
no
Right.
denied service.
So that money would go into this account?
That's right.
Okay.
Where does it go currently?
It's in the budget under the school department,
So it goes into the school budget,
exactly,
Well, yes,
cafeteria, or for food?
for the food.
it goes through the cafeteria program currently.
And the Council on Aging runs the program, so this just makes it a little bit cleaner.
Is there any issue with providing the food? Would the
No.
food, would the, would the providing of the food still continue to come out of the school
Yes,
for this process?
yes,
It's
that
just-
wouldn't
It's just a
change.
funding issue of where
It's
we're
a
keeping the
funding
funds.
issue, exactly. And this just allows people donations that want to donate for the Meals on
To
Wheels
direct,
will directly go to the Meals on Wheels without having to go into another budget,
okay.
just keeping it clean, separate.
Is there a maximum that could go into this fund?
They didn't request for a maximum?
I don't think it's a revolving fund like it's.
No, it's,
Gift
Yeah,
account.
it's a
it's
gift.
a different kind of gift account.
The town accountant has no issues with it, I would imagine.
No,
She
she
actually-
actually did the form.
She
She
actually
requested it.
Prefer to have it.
This is from her request, actually.
And move we approve the gift account for the Council on Aging for the Meals on Wheels.
Second that.
So we have a motion to set up a gift account under the Council on Aging. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Opposed? Unanimous. Town managers report.
Yes, a few things, Mr. Chairman, most of which you know, but some of the, mostly for the public, but as you know, we're very pleased that we have been designated as a green community as of last week, which comes with it a $164,000 grant. We will have to, as you know, get much more clarification on exactly how we should be, the best way to use those funds for the coming year. As you know, this is the first year we're really eligible, because since the stretch code was passed at town meeting. And a lot of the work that had been done previously, some of the old building surveys, energy use surveys, had been really outdated, because they have to be done within a certain period of time to be able to be part of our application process. So we had, a lot of work had to be done since our Springtown meeting to be able to be eligible for submitting an application for this year. So so we had to help. Unfortunately, the funds, the technical assistance funds from the state that they say are available, weren't available because they had run out. So we had to do a lot of work in-house, and our friends at Old Colony Planning Council were able to dedicate some technical assistance funds through their DLTA program to help us through. So we have made, we've made suitable ovations to our friends at Old Colony Planning Council, thanking them again for their efforts. And, but in-house, as you know, Dory was really the lead on that project, and we had some great help from, as always, Wayne Norling, who was really point on helping us get our building surveys done and working with vendors, and a town accountant was a big help pulling information together too. So, so we found out last week, so that was good. This is, again, the very first year we were eligible after the public was nice enough to pass the stretch code. So that was, you have your hand up, Bob. I don't want to.
Just a question.
Okay. I don't want you to lose your thought, so go ahead.
That's okay, sorry. But that funding that if what we get the funding for, is it designated for certain purposes only?
Well, that's what we have to clarify, because part of it was an energy reduction plan. Some of that is, it's over a period of time, though. So how much of that has to be designated specifically for energy reduction versus any other initiatives we might want to be able to identify? So that's what we want to be clear about. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we can clarify that, because that's more of a formula, the $164,000. So we'll be able to hopefully clarify that. And
Does this fall under your overview?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would consider it our overview.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not, it's not divided, we'll say up for, it's not under the school committee, board of selectmen, it's all under our jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously, that's very good news for us. And this past week, we were able to close out our rail trail project, bureaucratically speaking, with our friends over in Rockland. There are still a few things we'd like to be able to fund, some of the gates that keep vehicles out of, some of the fold-down gates, so we're getting some pricing on that. Hopefully, we'll be able to fund some of those through the existing budgets, DPW budgets, we'll see. But that's obviously a nice project. That was a $100,000 grant that we were able to get in unison with Rockland. So some of the barrels on our side of the project, we're hoping to replace with some of the nice gates that you see on the Rockland side. So as the lead community, Rockland took good care of themselves. We're hoping to catch up in hopefully the next couple of weeks, weather permitting and a few local funds permitting with that. So so fear not, we'd like to replace those. And again, I don't know exactly what the cost is of some of those gates, but we'll be hopefully getting those replaced shortly too. Following up on a request from a citizen, and Ken has asked us to do this specifically too, the utility pole at the end of Glenowitz Way, that is, I think we all agree, somewhat of an eyesore. The school building committee, which some of us sit on, has discussed this at a couple points, having that removed and put as an underground utility before the end of this, before the Glenowitz Way is finalized and paved next spring. And National Grid has assigned somebody, one of their designers, to come down, look at it. They actually just had one of their designer in this region was just replaced, so it's delayed that a little bit, but we are expecting, they've committed to come down and give us a quote on what it would cost to have that replaced, removed with underground utilities.
Now, when you say that, now, I was under the assumption that there's 5 or 6 of them. They go up to the even before the first They go up to the property the new property we own, and then take a right. And it looks like they go into the back of the condos. So it's not just one pole, I mean, obviously, the one, the biggest eyesore is the first one off the street, but then they go, I just don't,
Well, there's one, the one specifically we're talking about is one at the very end that's almost leaning on the sign. It looks like it's almost leaning on the message sign.
right.
The other, we'll say, quote that we will be getting is for basically underground utilities for the all of the poles on Glenowitz Way. That's probably not a feasible option, but that's one of the other quotes we'd be getting from the designer. They call it a designer, I don't, a little bit out of my particular expertise, but initially, I think, keeping in mind that the entire cost of that would have to be borne by the town. That's not something that National Grid is simply going to do out of the goodness of their hearts. So both of those costs, we'll be able to at least have a look at and see what's the town might have an appetite for. So essentially, though, National Grid will be having their designer review that, give us an estimate of what that would take. I think at the very least, clearly, I think with the cost and the construction of the entire, obviously the upgrade of the entire municipal complex, that at least that pole that is, abuts the message board out front is probably something we could hopefully make a point to deal with. So that's where that stands at the moment. I think I've already, I know, sent the board an email last week with regard to the storm aftermath, and Bob's comments, I think, were right on point. I think the only thing I would add is, obviously we've had a lot of calls, and I'll lump the trash collection piece in with this too, that Bob already covered, from the public, both our office and the Board of Health, and I think people have been remarkably patient when they do, with our office, the Board of Health, and the DPW, when they do hear, willing to hear explanations of why some services are delayed. So I do thank them for their patience on certain issues, whether it's sidewalk plowing or trash collection. I think people are patient, but I think there's nothing worse than when we don't get back to people, when we don't give them explanations, and sometimes it is slow getting back to people because there are a lot of phone calls to field. So to the extent that people are watching or listening, and hope they do understand that sometimes it does take a while to get through some of the phone calls. There are a lot of them. And I would like to thank, again, the staff at BPW, our office, and particularly the Board of Health, Mary DeRusha, and specifically Lorraine Mavra-George, who has really gone beyond the call. And I'm not sure if those of you had a chance to work with Lorraine over the years. She's a part-time in the office who does the enforcement of our solid waste collection and recycling. And she's been interacting on a daily basis with the contractors, with Republic, and boy, she not only, at times pulling her hair out, but keeping us informed on a daily basis, sometimes hourly basis, in terms of the progress of the contractors, their equipment issues, and I think she has really gone, but the ownership she has taken over the progress of the solid waste and the recycling issues, not just now, but previously, is really, I really have to commend her, so. One last thing, good news, and some of you, again, are probably already aware, but we haven't met since the last time we met. Our permanent part-time veteran service officer, Jacqueline Figgins, is on duty about her business. Some of you may have had a chance to meet her already. Wonderful person. I know those of you who've had a chance, and it's nice to have, I don't mean to sound sexist, but considering the number of female veterans, the growing number of female veterans, I know our veterans agent is Tom McCarthy, has actually pointed out that it's really an asset to have somebody who people comfortable speaking to on some of the concerns that they have. So, rather interesting perspective. So she is on board, and I know we went quite some time without having that position filled, so it's quite a relief, so.
You at liberty to talk about the Board of Health agent's job search?
Yes, we have a finalist that we are meeting with on Thursday to discuss terms and conditions of employment, which we expect that he is prepared to accept the position. We had a final round of interviews with members of the Board of Health and Bob Manning. So we actually anticipate that will go well, and that will be on Thursday. So, and I'll let the board know forthwith if that goes as well as I expect.
And
So,
you wanna
and
talk-
again, I want to thank Bob for that, because that was more of his time out of his schedule, so.
And you want to talk about, I mean, not get great length, but about the budget process, how that's going, or anything, any updates, anything we need to know? I know there's been some talk about the school budget and the kindergarten.
Yeah, the board, you know, as you know, last mid-January, mid-December, submitted the initial budget proposal to the Board of Selectmen, and in the near future, I'll be submitting an updated budget proposal. The school, as you also know, has its own internal budget process, which is evolving. Their initial proposal calls for as it tends to do, a rather substantial increase, which includes a proposal for a full-day kindergarten, which we were aware of. The proposal that I submitted initially does not include that. One of the things about full-day kindergarten, which it will cost approximately, I believe, $460,000, I believe, is that it's not eligible for reimbursement through the Chapter 70 process until a full year, after the full year. So we've had conversations, our financial team with, which obviously includes our school administration, about the possibility of utilizing, one-time funds for the first year until the reimbursement comes a second year, as a possibility, so that it doesn't necessarily interrupt other services for the first year, and doesn't also artificially alter the fundamental breakdown we have between the school and non-school budget, that exists and has existed for quite some time. So keep in mind that, at the time we're having these conversations, the school had not, is still in the, at a particular point in their own internal, budgetary conversations. So now we move to another phase of our internal conversations with the school and how we're, can possibly make this work for next fiscal year. And keep in mind that we still don't have a House 1 budget from the state with any Chapter 70 number for FY19. So we're still in a point where we're kind of, shooting blind with regard to what state aid's gonna look like, early stages of what our own estimated receipts might look like for next year. So usually by mid-January, well, let's see, the Mass Municipal Conference is the end of next week, and that's usually about the same time the governor is announcing his House 1 budget. So that's generally the time where we can start envisioning what the next version of the municipal budget might look like. So that's pretty much where we are. But as you can imagine, Peter and Felicia we're very close in terms of, I don't mean close on the numbers, but close in terms of our communication on how we might be able to make this work. Because it's the first year that's gonna be the biggest challenge of a full-day
At
kindergarten.
that first year,
first year.
$460,000 would be reimbursed, but it wouldn't be till after that year.
Correct.
So after you get the first year out of the way, then it's,
Yeah, the first year
funding, I
is
guess.
reimbursed the second year at a certain percentage.
So it's
certain
not,
percentage.
it's not 100%.
It's not 100%, no. That's.
Does that number fluctuate year to year, that percentage number
You have
fluctuate
full-time
year to year?
kindergarten?
These are conversations that, as you know, Andy, the state of the state is, fluctuates from year to year, so. Obviously, you know, in terms of, you know, the quality and the desirability of the community, which obviously adds up to property values and everything else, we don't necessarily want to be the town that doesn't have the school system that's desirable. That's important, I think, to everybody. So if there's a way that this can work, we want to see if we can make this work. We want to see if we can make this work. On the other hand, it can't happen to the detriment of other priorities and other existing services. And obviously, Peter and Felicia, and I obviously haven't had conversations with the school committee. That's Peter's job. That they understand that entirely. But if there's a way that we can make this work, particularly in year one, that's the biggest challenge. If we can find a way to make it work, we certainly want to try to do that. So. But again, it's very difficult this time of year when you're really shooting blind without a House 1 number, which, as most of you know, the House and Senate versions of the budget tend to, even if they're reasonably close, they usually, they certainly don't undercut the budgets, the budget presentation or the budget proposal of the governor, but the House one's usually a good guide, a pretty good guide, so.
Our next meeting is February 12th. I've got a few things I want to go over real quick as far as the agenda goes and that.
Is he done?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you're done, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
I don't want to, sorry.
Trust me.
I thought so. We talked about having Abington Cam. It looks like that they will be available for that meeting on February 12th. And Dory tells me that there'll be someone in there, that meeting to discuss a traffic study.
Yes, the environmental partners, we contracted them through Chapter 90 funding, and they're doing a traffic study currently at Hancock Street and Chestnut Street. So
Excellent.
they're available to come to us February 12th for a status update. And actually, the goal is to put this on the state's TIP program, and the next step in that is a public hearing notice to abutters. So at the February 12th meeting, it would be that meeting to satisfy the requirement of the public hearing, an update of the traffic study. And he's also prepared to give you a overview of the Complete Streets program, if timing allows, and if you're interested.
Notice you got to have a recommendation as to what to do with that intersection too, or is it just basically the?
Yep, that's
Okay,
when he comes in,
perfect.
that's what he's going to present.
Excellent. I'd like to get, at the last meeting, we discussed the surplus land, and I think we're gonna hit it two different ways. We're gonna, a portion of it, go to the Conservation Commission and see if they're interested in some of the portions. And I think we're gonna ask the assessors to draw us up some maps of the property so that we can maybe put some of them on the Tommy, and I think we're also gonna look at, when you're talking about how Brockton sells their portions.
Yeah, I did talk to the mayor's chief of staff, and they actually do that in-house through the solicitor's office. And the solicitor's office got a percentage of it for their funding in their office, but since we don't have our own solicitor, makes it more difficult. So I would suggest that we talk to town council and see how they think we should handle it.
But if we can
We
get,
will need some legal advice and transferring the property.
For butters and stuff like that.
yeah, but I mean, if we could get the maps at least,
Yeah, so you know
Showing the
where the
portion.
parcels are.
got that? Sure you do. All right,
Solicitor's office.
no, you missed it.
No, we're not hiring that this year.
The big thing is, I've been approached by Alex to talk about some planning issues, and I think it's called the Housing Initiative, that Rockland has been discussing at some of their meetings. There's also talk about a town planner, and I know we've talked about previously about a new master plan for the town, because I think it has to be done every 10 years or so, and I think we're about due.
Yes.
So hiring a town planner possibly to do that. And there's been talk from Alex, but there's also been talk in-house about maybe combining with other towns to get a bigger bang for our buck. So I'd like to, if it's agreeable to the board, invite the planning board, because these are all planning board issues, to a joint meeting. And I also thought we could kill two birds with one stone, because they're gonna be heavily involved in the new sign bylaw. So maybe, and a way to get it on TV, so people will learn more about the sign bylaw. And then, we would obviously try to do it on a night when they're not meeting, or even if we had to have a special meeting, maybe if it won't fit on the February 12th agenda, but I would like to tackle those issues with the planning board, if that's agreeable. I mean, it's definitely, the town planner, we've had one in the past, and I think it might have been 10 years ago when we did our master plan, and it helped do the master plan. So, you get a bigger bang for your buck if you have a town planner to help do that, so, that's just a suggestion. Maybe at the beginning of the meeting, we could have the zoning board in on the discussion with the sign bylaws, because they're involved in that process too. I know Andy's involved in that process, so I'd like to have, if we can't do it February 12th, if it takes up too much time, maybe we can have a special meeting just for planning issues, because a lot of stuff is going on in town.
I
that
think we
requires
should
it.
probably have a separate meeting for planning issues.
It might be better too, because I think
Because
the
if we're
planning
gonna
board
have
meets
the,
when we meet.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot that night, yeah.
Right, if it's agreeable to the board, I'll contact the chairman of the planning board and try to find a good date to do it, you know, maybe Monday night when we're not meeting, sooner rather than later.
Sure.
All right. Anything else anyone have?
Just back to the budget discussion and town meeting, do you have any plan on when you want to have town meeting? Are we going to try to comply with the bylaw and do it in April, the 1st of April, or are we going to wait, or?
It's hard to know, Andy, especially without a state budget, you know,
Yeah.
if times are good, it's one thing, but it's premature. I thought last year, at least doing it in May was even more helpful than going into June. I think
But
even
I think I
that was
raised it
better.
before. If we're gonna do this every year, we should probably just change the bylaw so we have a date where everybody
No, I
knows.
I know, yeah.
It's so up in the air.
know.
That might be part of the reason.
I know.
mean, not the only reason, but one of the reasons we don't get such great attendance at town meeting is because people can't put it on their calendar and say, it's the first Monday in
Right.
April, which is what it used to be.
Right.
So it's something to consider.
I was just wondering, given this past storm, whether it was plausible, if we have a way to use the automatic calling system by neighborhood for trash service pickup, whether or not we could actually declare a delay for certain neighborhoods without having to worry about dealing with the phone calls in and out, that we could actually send a phone call to everyone's house and announce that because of the weather or because of whatever emergency purposes, not for the normal stuff. We publicize enough that we're, you know, when we're gonna pick up, when we're not gonna pick up and stuff like that. But this past week was extraordinary with a holiday and a huge
Yeah,
blizzard.
yeah.
I was wondering if it was possible that we could have used the phone system just to reach out to the neighborhoods that were directly affected, and not to everybody in the town, but that there'd be a delay in service and what that delay would be. And I don't know if we could tie that to our website automatically so that the information that once it goes out on the Nextel could automatically go up on the websites, not only by the Board of Health, but by the town police in Strawberry Valley, so that things would get out there a little quicker and more accurately. I'm not saying I want it, I'm just saying, is it possible?
We can check into that.
You know,
Check into it.
I just thought maybe for certain things that happen during the year, that maybe that would be, and I'm not just drawing trash, I'm just saying, but when extraordinary events occur, whether it's a hurricane, tornado, whatever, whether or not we could utilize that service, if it's possible to break it down by trash pickup neighborhoods, and just, you know, possibly just identify those people and generate a generic voicemail to them all, so that they would all know up front. If they don't listen to their phones, you can't do much about it, but at least you can reach a majority of the affected residents, and they would know automatically not to put their barrels out. Because those people that put their barrels out the night before the storm, those barrels got slammed by the plows, they were all over the place, you know, it just got ugly. And I think that may be a better way to approach it, if possible. I just like to figure we can look into that.
Sure.
Well, while we're on that, I think the email list that the Selectmen's office has should be used more, not just for emergencies, but even when we got the green community status, you know, send an email out on that. I mean, other towns are doing this for good, for bad, for everything, and I think we need to utilize that more. And I think if we had done more of that during this storm, I know somebody asked the Board of Health about sending out a mass email, and they said they don't have the capability of doing that. But I know the Selectmen office does, and you can sign up online.
Or you can sign up for the Board of Health emails too, so they do have the capability of doing it.
Well,
It's just a matter of getting people to sign up too. That's
yeah,
part of it.
so we, you know, we need to get that stuff up on the website so people can sign up, and I know I've done it, and you can go on there and you can check off what you wanna notice.
Notified for?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
And then
what
you
department?
receive the
Can we
notification.
explain that a little bit? Do you know about that, Ken?
No, you do just what he said, you go on the website.
And there's a place to sign up on there, and there's a whole list of what you wanna be notified for. Check it off.
So okay, I'll play stupid, I didn't know, so I'll be the first, I'll be the first to
A lot of
admit
people
that
don't
I
know,
don't
and that's
know.
why
So
we're
if that's out
talking
there,
about it.
people, the residents of the town of Abington, I would think that it's worth a visit to our website just for that alone.
However, it's only as good as the people that,
That
in
send out
town,
the
that
stuff,
send
exactly.
do the emails, so. Because I didn't get a Board of Health email about the trash, so.
No, I don't either.
No, it's tough.
So, I mean, someone in each department that you're checking off there
And I-
needs to be told that,
Responsible for that.
they have to send these emails
And I do think
out.
it's
There's no
capable,
point.
there is a capability that, the police department has it, because I know that we received a phone call, there was someone up in the Green Street area, that was involved in a car chase, and they got out of the car, and they called the people in a certain area of town.
They can target a
So,
certain.
yes, I
Yeah,
don't
just,
know if-
yeah, but I'm curious, like, how well it can hone down each, the 5 zones that are used for
But they
trash
should,
collection.
but they could
yeah.
work together just to get the.
Yeah, and that's the police department, and I'm not sure they're gonna wanna be sending out trash info and stuff, so, but, you know,
That's a good
if
question.
the town has the capability of doing it, we should be doing more of it.
Great idea.
Very good.
Tom, you have a motion to make?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Leave it to me.
All in favor?
All right,
Unanimous.
thank you all.
Thank you.